Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shay. If you're new here, hello, welcome. In today's video, this is day 3 of working with my wild Mustang. And quick recap, I think we've worked a little bit on some lunging, a little bit of pressure release, and so I'm excited to show you her progress in just 3 days. This horse has just been incredible to work with, so here we go. First thing I wanted to do was, again, be able to kind of put my hands on her, let her know that touch isn't such a bad thing. So right here what I'm doing is keeping my hand towards her. I also have the lead rope, which is so scary. So having the lead rope touching her at the same time can let her kind of get used to that too. But I didn't want to kind of reward her by pulling that off when she moves. So I tried to keep my hand out, try to keep contact with her until she settled back down. The other thing I wanted to work on is using my other hand to try to kind of reach across, do some different body movements, get her used to that motion. Eventually I do get into the habit of finally closing that gate on the shelter, but I just don't think about it for the first few days. Now I'm definitely to the point of closing it when I go in to work with her in there. She definitely was still really hesitant about me touching anywhere near her nose, and that's something I really wanted to work on. So I wanted to just reward any sort of contact she let me have with anywhere around her face, but really around her muzzle. Right here I started working a little bit more on touching her forehead, touching her on the halter. I really wanted to be able to take the halter off sooner rather than later. I really didn't want to leave it on. Having the halter on scares me enough already as it is. I don't want it getting stuck on the panels, so I'd rather just have it taken off. We were working a little bit on some kind of stopping and which direction to go. She's throwing a little baby temper tantrum there. It's really funny to watch her kind of act like a baby. And it's something I'm not going to discipline her for. I'm just going to kind of let her do her thing, especially because she's so young and obviously she's still pretty wild. So I don't really want to make it something that's bad right now. I want her to kind of experience what I'm asking her, if that makes sense. Here I'm just getting her kind of used to me touching her legs, touching her belly, especially because I knew that her belly was kind of a sensitive area. So I wanted to take it slow and just kind of run my hand over it and then move on to something else. I was really impressed with her figuring out her stops as quickly as she did. And I think part of that is just my body language, stepping in front of her shoulder or staying behind her shoulder to get her to move forward. So I was really, really impressed with how quickly she figured out what whoa meant and when I was asking her to stop. We just worked on a little bit more of the grooming. We'd done this enough times I didn't think it would be a huge issue. One thing I really wanted to work on with her was keeping a good ground tie while grooming her. I figured this would kind of be a part of the competition, to show that your horse can ground tie while you're grooming would kind of get you some little kind of bonus points, if that makes sense. So every time I groom her, I try to keep her untied and let her just stand so that she starts to learn that I want her to stand still when I'm grooming. This is the second part to the day. I want to say this is definitely the afternoon. I'm pretty sure it's like close to evening time. Again, just kind of starting with walking up to her, letting her realize that I'm not scary. I'm just going to give her some good pets. I'm definitely moving a lot faster. I walk up to her a lot quicker. I move a lot quicker just because she's starting to get used to me a little bit more. And I don't want to constantly give off the vibe of like anxiousness by moving super slow and everything.
Sorry I interrupted your nap time, Julia. I know it was rude.
I think this is where I really started to struggle with trying to keep impulsion with her. She very much doesn't like to move out. So I wanted her to trot, and I think that pushing her so hard the first couple of days almost got her desensitized in a way to both the end of the lead rope that I was kind of swinging towards her, the clucking sound. I think she started to almost desensitize to that. And so I kind of wish that I'd just kind of backed off and let her slow down a little bit. She really was starting to figure out that scratches around her face were not a big deal. Me kind of rubbing around her forehead wasn't an issue. I listened to a video by Warwick Schiller that was a really interesting concept of just asking one way to do things and sticking with only that way. And that's not the best way to describe it, but I wish that that was something that I had stuck with a little bit more. Keeping it consistent as far as if I'm going to swing the lead rope, I'm not going to move any closer to her. I'm not going to move any farther away. I'm just going to stay where I am. And when she figures out that that's what I want her to do is move forward, then I can back off. The more that I'm adding all of this really heavy pressure, it's just kind of desensitizing her to it in a way. She's gotten a lot better by now, but it was definitely a learning aspect for us. And this is where I really started to concentrate more on the halter and kind of getting her used to my hands being up by her face. And when she stood really quietly, I wanted to back off. I wish that her head had kind of dropped a little bit more while I was standing next to her, but that's okay. Again, with the lead rope, I just wanted to walk up to her, let her know it wasn't so scary, so you could see my hand still sticking out there. I didn't want to give her that release by pulling my hand back. She definitely quiets down a lot easier at this point. Again, I kind of wish that I could get her to drop her head down a little bit more, let her realize that it's not a scary thing. Here I'm just working on that lead rope slap in the ground. There were a couple times prior that she did not react well to them hitting the ground, and it's just kind of a new aspect. I figured with wild horses, they're just not used to things slapping around them like that, and if they were, I'd assume it was some sort of predator. So I think it's just her kind of getting used to this motion. I also was really curious how she would be with things wrapping around her feet and what she would do. So I just kind of wrapped it around her foot and wanted to see if she would lose her marbles over it, and she didn't, which was really nice. from the beginning, she was always pretty dang soft when it came to forward, backward, pivot. She's always been pretty soft to it, and I really tried to keep it that way. I didn't want to get really heavy-handed when it came to backing up. Even if it meant that she was a little bit slow, I was okay with it.
Good girl. That was very slow. Come on. Good. That's good girl.
And as soon as she kind of shifts her weight or steps forward, that's when I really release. This here was the first time of me turning my back and trying to walk with her next to me, so it was definitely new for her, and I don't think she was totally comfortable with it yet. I kind of shifted what I was doing a little bit. I know that when you're teaching a horse to lead, it's usually easier to teach them to lead in a turn and not straight forward. So that's what I started to do. Kind of turn with my body and she would kind of follow. Here I'm just getting her used to the sound of that clipping from the lead rope. I was hoping to be able to take it off and leave it off of her at this point, but I wanted to make sure that, you know, I could still walk up to her and that she wasn't going to be scared of that clipping sound. Here I'm just doing more with the lead rope to get her used to the motion. This is something that I usually will get close enough to them to kind of swing the lead rope up over their head and get them used to that motion. Unfortunately, she wasn't quite sure what I was doing, so it didn't go over quite how I wanted it to. But I didn't want her to think of the lead rope as a scary object at that point. I mean, something coming at your face like that, I'm sure it wasn't a thrilling experience for her. So I wanted to make sure that she could see the lead rope and I could rub her with it again, and it wasn't something scary. Again, not trying to reward her by pulling that lead rope away. So when she steps away, I kind of keep that on her until she settles back down. I wanted to get her kind of used to the idea of things coming off of her and things going over her, whether it's, you know, a saddle blanket, a saddle, or a towel, or whatever I needed to put over her. I wanted her to kind of start getting used to the motion of things being thrown over her back, where she may not be able to see it 100% of the time. She was definitely reacting a lot better to the lead rope falling, so that was a huge plus, but I wanted to make sure that she got nice and quiet when it came to the lead rope going over her back. You can see a little bit of head tossing still, but she was keeping her feet quiet at that point, so I was super excited about that. That was the best one, of just keeping her head nice and quiet. She didn't really lift it, so I definitely wanted to praise her and give her a break for that. At this point, Penny was walking away way too much, so I finally was like, okay, you don't want to be near me, let's work a little bit. So I chased her off, and again, I wish that I wasn't doing so many big movements, because I just feel like I kind of desensitized her a little bit.
Oh. Good. Go.
Again, should have closed the gate, but that's my fault.
Get out.
And right there, she didn't turn into me. She didn't give me her eye, so I wanted her to keep moving forward until I got her to stop with her looking at me and not trying to kind of go away from me. It was a little bit overdone of a turn towards the center. I think she was kind of still away from me, but she was at least looking towards me, and she did more of the correct motion, so I wanted to really reward her for that. This is towards the end of the session, and basically I took the lead rope off already, and I wanted to make sure that she was okay with me walking up to her and walking away, especially because I didn't have a lead rope to just grab hold of at that point. So a lot of letting her kind of sniff my hand, and then I'd back off and walk back up and back off. You guys can see I'm definitely moving a lot faster too. I'm walking up to her instead of just kind of a slow, cautious. Are you really gonna move, or are you gonna stand still?
Good girl.
It was a very good walk up and clip it on, so I definitely wanted to give her a lot of praise for that.
Good girl.
We're about to the end of the video here, so thank you guys so much for watching. I'm hoping to be a little bit better. I say this in every video about getting uploads going, so I think I might be back on a regular schedule. We'll see. I'm hoping this one comes out on Friday, so hopefully. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below if you guys have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys!